UFC 312 is in the books, and Sean Strickland just got mauled like a child. There's no other way to put it. Dricus du Plessis dismantled him, piece by piece, leaving no room for debate. And that's ironic, considering how much debate there was leading up to this fight. The entire narrative of the rematch was built around the idea that Strickland had been robbed in their first fight, that his championship had been stolen from him, and that he was coming back to reclaim what was his.
I won that fight and I'm gonna win this fight, so saddle up and let's get it done.
That being said, 25 minutes of war, my man. I'm getting my belt back. Unlike last time, dude, you're not gonna headbutt me and I'm gonna pick you apart for 5 rounds. Here's the thing, man. These judges, real bad. They don't understand the art of striking. They want you to go be on the short bus like Dricus. The man looks like he has Down syndrome, all right? I don't fight that way. I'm an intelligent man. Sometimes. Not really. I like to use the brain.
In that first bout, Dricus won by split decision. I'm not here to argue who really won that fight. We have official scorecards, and the only real issue lies with the judging criteria in MMA.
I had it 2-2 going into the last round, and I thought Strickland won the last round.
Dana said it? Well, bullshit.
Sean sold this fight with the same bravado he always does. I'll fight to the death to entertain you guys. It's going to be a fucking war, guys. We'll bleed for you guys.
We're probably gonna have a 5-round war. I'm gonna try to put his ass down. To the death. I think the Dutchman can agree. We're gonna put on a war and we're gonna try to each other up. That's a promise we both can make you guys. To the death, Dutchman.
And he did bleed, his own blood pouring from the nose Dricus smashed into his face.
When that fucker broke my nose, I was like, oh, that doesn't fucking feel right. Popped it back in place. I kept fighting for you. The Dutchman is a bad motherfucker. He kicked my ass fair and square. Props to him.
But was Sean ever really that good? Let's go back to the day when he won the title. He walked into the octagon against Israel Adesanya as the ranked number 7 middleweight contender.
Izzy, I'll come over to you. We can watch anime. You can put some fucking testosterone on my ass. I'll do it with you. Let's fucking go.
By that point, he had already lost to multiple top middleweights and wasn't seen as a future champion at all. He got that opportunity only because of DDP's injury. And yet, that night, he completely dominated Adesanya. The same Adesanya who had just knocked out his nemesis Alex Pereira and was on top of the world. You can't take that win away from him. Or can you? This is where Sean's die-hard fans love to jump in with their usual nonsense. Tell it to his face. This guy never trained a day in his life. And blah, blah, blah. But let's be real. Strickland's win over Adesanya turned out to mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. I mean, yeah, it led to a generational shift in the division and etc., but I'm talking strictly about Sean as a fighter. And before you freak out, let me explain. Yes, Sean trained his whole life, perfected his jab and teep kicks, and ultimately became a UFC champion. But his win over Adesanya was not some masterstroke of strategy. It wasn't a testament to his camp's brilliance. It was just Sean being Sean. He fought Adesanya the same way he fought every single opponent in his career. He did it against Kamaru Usman, against Krzysztof Jotko, against Abusupyan Magomedov, and against Dricus du Plessis. You can watch any of his fights in the UFC and compare them to his bout with Adesanya, and you'll see no difference in his style at all. Talking about the champ himself, Adesanya's entire game is built around constant movement. He lures opponents into overextending and catching them with counters. He thrives when he can control distance and make his opponent fight on his terms. Fighters like Marvin Vettori played right into his hands by staying at range, afraid to engage. Others like Robert Whittaker and Paulo Costa charged in recklessly and got their chins cracked for it. But Sean just walked forward, jabbed, teep-kicked, and never let Adesanya breathe. He suffocated him, cutting off the space Izzy needed to work. And who could have guessed that an elite striker like Adesanya would completely fall apart when faced with such pressure? Well, anyone who actually prepared for it.
This is #1 bullshit.
Now, after UFC 312, I'm convinced that Israel just underestimated Strickland. He saw a ranked number 7 guy who wasn't on his level and didn't take the fight seriously. And he paid the full price for his arrogance with his character and mentality. But let's be clear, Sean and his camp are not some genius strategists who cracked the code. I mean, they did, but it wasn't the special aim of separate research. This wasn't Team Alpha Male spending years studying Dominic Cruz to develop the perfect game plan like they did with Cody Garbrand. Sean has always fought this way. He's always pressed forward, always thrown jabs and teep kicks and relied on Philly shell as a defense. Some fighters figured out how to deal with it, like Alex Pereira. Others, like Adesanya, didn't. Or rather, didn't care enough to try. Because Sean has always been Sean. His fight with Adesanya wasn't a case of a fighter evolving into a world beater. He simply got a perfect stylistic matchup against a champion who underestimated him. And now, we know for a fact that he never grew up past that number 7 ranking, and Dricus du Plessis proved it. Strickland never developed a second layer to his game. His entire skill set was always built around pressure, volume, and toughness. But when someone pressures him back, he crumbles. Kamaru Usman exposed that years ago. Dricus just did it again. For all his years in the sport, Strickland never even tried to evolve. He perfected his jab and teep kick, while completely ignoring the fact that MMA is about mixing it up. He never became a well-rounded fighter. At first, I wanted to compare him to Cody Garbrand. Both won their titles in spectacular fashion, only to immediately fall off. But the more I thought about it, the less that comparison made sense. Because say what you will about Cody, his downfall was tied to his chin never being the same after the CEO of EPO TJ Dillashaw put him out. Strickland, though, nothing changed. I mean literally. He's exactly the same fighter he's always been. His durability is still there. His skills haven't declined. And yet, he just got run over like he didn't belong in that octagon. So if we're making comparisons, Sean isn't Cody Garbrand, he's Buster Douglas. Douglas was the first man to knock out the Iron Mike Tyson. But what happened after that? He lost his titles in his very next fight. He was never truly elite. He just had one perfect night. Before and after that fight, every top boxer of that era wiped the floor with him. That's Strickland. He was never meant to be at the top of the middleweight division. And at UFC 312, the South African proved it once again. And honestly, I'm pretty sure Adesanya would have proved it too, if he had actually taken that fight seriously. Right now, Izzy is coming off 2 brutal stoppages. And even considering the fact that he had his moments in both of these fights, I believe that his confidence is shot even as skills are still being there. This version of Adesanya probably won't beat Strickland in a rematch either. But if we're talking about a prime Izzy who actually prepared properly for Sean, he won't even have felt him. Because Strickland never evolved. He was never elite. He was never supposed to be the guy. And now, after UFC 312, we can finally stop pretending otherwise. Looking to level up your skills and connect with like-minded individuals? Check out School, the ultimate platform to join diverse communities tailored to your passions. Whether you're into digital marketing, business, tech, or design, School gives you access to experts, exclusive content, and endless opportunities to grow.